Good afternoon. Hey, that picture is not supposed to be up there. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, maybe, possibly, depending on where you're at. Welcome to another, it's been a while, live stream. Just thought I'd jump in for a little bit before the US holidays jump in, and let me mute myself here. Just make sure I have some audio. Good. So, how are things out in the neighborhood of home assistant technology and the world in general? Got some hellos already. Hi, NR from South America. Let's see, South America. That means I'm not even going to try with the daytime, nighttime business. Hi, Bearded Tinker is on today. And Brian's here. Brian asked a hard question, and I'm going to have some help on this one. So as we get going here, hopefully we'll have some people be able to tell me how to answer this. But the tariff thing has just been, it's been challenging to say the least. Just a lot of issues with calculating the correct tariffs on the energy portal. So -2 degrees Celsius and 2100 hours. So 9 p.m. in Sweden, -2 Celsius. That's frozen. Anyway, on the tariffs, maybe we'll get to that. See if we can help Brian out a little bit. Seems that they may be dead and only accepting a fixed price. Good evening, Mr. Johnny. How are you this evening? Welcome to the chat. Mr. Semla, hello. It does feel good to be here again. My live streams used to be every 2 weeks, and then just in the last couple of months, I've been busy doing other stuff and try to get them in as much as I can. But today I thought I'd throw a quick one in. Remember, this is about questions that I can answer for you as best I can, or those of us in chat can answer for each other. I'll put this out as I do on every live stream. The videos that I pre-record are mostly the how-to videos, and a couple of reviews here and there. I have a review video coming up next for those that like those that don't. I have to throw a few in there every once in a while just to make people happy, but it'll be on a Wi-Fi real link camera, so watch out for that. Anyway, the recorded videos are for how-tos and that kind of thing, and then the live chats are for questions and interaction, and that's what I hope to get from today's live chat is some questions that we can talk about. New stuff y'all are working on, that kind of thing, and whatever I can show on the stream here. So that's what I'll do. Good evening from Germany. And I try to pronounce these names, but I don't always do the best. But I'm going to say Ole. Hope that's not too terribly bad. Chris Peterson, hello. What's Chris? Is that a hello, Chris? Hello from Sweden. Good evening in the USA, but good night here in Pakistan. Yeah, what time is it in Pakistan? It's probably pretty late. Let's see. I know India is about 10.5 hours ahead of us, give or take. So let's see. That would be 1, 12, 11 p.m. maybe. Yeah, something like that. Oh, Croatia. Did you say 40 degrees Celsius? Let's see. 40 C2F. Wow, I wonder if that's right. Is it 40 degrees Celsius there in Croatia? That's hot. Chat is the Swedes are here. Hello, Steve. Hello, Greg. Zilwilk. Hello. Question: how are you? How am I? I am fantastic. How are you? How is everybody else there, Bearded Tinker? What is the best way to bring in live video into HE? I have a delay. The live video piece. I will answer it with one question. Now, let me preface this with my answers. The answers I give you are based on my knowledge and what I have played with to date. Some stuff makes leaps and bounds in improvement since I touched it last. So there may be an alternative, but I will tell you that WebRTC is the best way to to display live video. And so Mr. Peterson or Chris Chris Peterson. So what is the delay and how long is it? And what have you tried so far? That kind of thing. Hello from Holland. How to add non-IP printers in HA. I don't even know why. Okay. So like, what we're talking about? Like IPP or LP, whatever the printer protocol is. They're coming in so fast today. I'm not used to this amount of interaction so early on. 4 Celsius. All right, 40 Celsius. Let me see what that is. 39 degrees. Oh, that's better. It is currently 71 degrees here. Is that right? Let's check something here, because a moment ago it was 68 on my display. I hope I'm updating on an accurate basis here. Let's just look at the weather. Did we go down and back up again? Let's check. Oh, we jumped up, wow, fast in the last few minutes. In the last 30 minutes, we've jumped up by 3 degrees Fahrenheit. And oh, you know why? It's been cloudy all day, and we're starting to get some solar radiation coming in, and that is bringing the temperature up. But there is a front on its way through that will bring strong winds and cooler temperatures. So that will wipe out the humidity. Our dew point is ridiculous right now, 66 degree dew point, which means it's muggy and sticky outside. So anyway, the temperature outside here anyway is going to be 71 degrees, and it's got 84% humidity. Let's see here. I hope the name are better than yeah. I try. I don't do well with the names. So that is my disclaimer already. Hello from New York. Hello there, Richard. So I want to make sure I don't miss out on these questions, because they're coming in here a lot faster than I thought they would today. Hello, L Strong. Welcome to the channel today. Do I use Tuya compatible equipment? I don't use Tuya equipment right now. That's something that's on my roadmap, something I want to play with more of, but I'm not doing that right now. But I am sure there are people on here that have played with Tuya. I know that Frank, who's one of the developers for Home Assistant, is working feverishly on making sure all that stuff is ironed out, working properly. There was some issues apparently with it, and then he's worked through some of that. So IPP, yep, IPP is the printer protocol. That's what I thought. I don't know. This is what I like to do. And this is cheating, especially on stuff I haven't played with before, but IPP, let's see if there's anything like that in Home Assistant. Let's take a look. So there is an IpP integration, and it's manual configuration. Oh, you can do an add integration from here. It was added in 0.108. It's used by 23.7% of the active installations. And I wonder if my printer is actually on here. I've got an IP printer, but it shows up a couple of different ways, and I think it may be discovered by this. But anyway, you can add IPP, select integrations, add integrations. Let me get to my my other thing here. So we'll go to integrations, and then let me just see what it says here. I can't use this, by the way, because I have more than one Home Assistant instance, and it goes to the wrong one when I try to add this. So I have to do it manually. And then IPP, let's look for IPP here. Yep, there's IPP right there. And then you can set up your printer via IPP to integrate with Home Assistant. It's still asking for a host, though, so you still need something there from a networking perspective for that to work. And I don't know a lot about the IPP protocol, so I don't know what is required, but it does look like you need a host there. But to answer your question, yes, you should be able to add IPP stuff. When I say non-IP based printers, I still think it has to have a network connection. You still got to talk to it somehow. It's not going to just magically show up. So yes, there is the ability to do that through IPP. So look at that integration and play around with that. All right. Yep. So if you use VLC, that would be best, but cameras mostly have a delay. Image has to be created, and streams only send partial images. Now, I have, if you've seen my frigate videos, I've got 4 or so frigate videos. And those frigate videos are, talk about WebRTC. There's one of them in particular. And I use WebRTC to stream. So if I go here and I click on cams, this actually is a WebRTC stream from 2 cameras, and it's pretty much real time. And you can also see that they're both synced up. So I don't have one camera here showing, an image, and then this one over here 5 seconds delayed or whatever. But I do have this in WebRTC. The new frigate card can also use WebRTC for live streaming. So if I go to, let me remember how I get there. Let's not go there. So if I go over here to my dashboard here and I look at cameras, I've got a couple of, I think these are the frigate cards. And there is a live stream button on here, although I can't, the icons are all gone all of a sudden, and I don't know which one's which, but one of these is live stream, and maybe this one. Yeah, it looks like this one. This is also WebRTC, and you can tell by the icon up here, which you really can't see on the video. But this is WebRTC, and it streams within Home Assistant. I'm within the Home Assistant environment. I'm just streaming this from an RTSP or WebRTC stream from the camera itself. Home Assistant's not doing anything in this case other than pointing the URL to the camera stream. So there's that. That gives you real-time streaming, as much as real-time streaming is. And it times out after X number of seconds and goes back to the default, which I have as clips or something here. So yes, you can get live stuff. It just creates a live stream from your camera. It creates another stream from your camera, goes directly into it. Let's see here. Where are we at? Let's see. Question: is there any way to show temperature sensors on an Android phone? Thinking widgets. Not sure about that from Home Assistant perspective. I think there probably is a way to specify a URL or something and create a single dashboard that has, you can make a dashboard that has kind of a widget feel to it, and then make that, I don't know, I'm kind of speaking out of turn here. I haven't played with that before, but I would think through some trial and error that you create widgets. But again, let's go to our friend here and see if it does anything. What I have in Home Assistant, what I have in, yeah, so there is this. You have to have, the Android app allows the user to create widgets on the home screen so the user can call any Home Assistant service call or display an entity state. So it updates every 30 minutes or when tapped. So the answer is yes, you can. You just create it for an entity, like your thermometer or temperature or whatever. So in my case, where's my office? I could create a widget for this entity, and it would update every 30 minutes, and then or until tapped or unless tapped. So it would update that. The widget will not work when the data saver is enabled. You also need to ensure that background data for the app is enabled. So you're going to have to open your phone up to more data and potential battery update usage there. Cameras, entity states, media players, service calls. You could call a service call. And what I do on my phone, I can't really show this very well the way I'm doing it, but on my phone I have a video about this, but I have a widget here. If you can barely see that, it's called Arm Night. It's on the edge over here, on the far edge, which I can't really point to. Yeah, that's not working for me. Way over here, Arm Night. And that Arm Night button is a button that I press. It's a service call that pulls a script that turns on all my alarm stuff for nighttime mode. So when I go to bed or whatever, I push that one widget, I pull it down from the drop down and push it, and then there we go. It runs it. So same concept here. So that's Mr. Semlo. That's the answer. You can. I'm thinking about adding Bitwarden, which is also known now as Vault Warden, by the way. What prerequisites are there? You made some videos. Has anything changed? Nothing has changed that I'm aware of in terms of the way it's all set up. I have not had to do anything since the updates have come about. The biggest update has changed the name from Bitwarden to Vault Warden. But I have now been running it for, I don't know, I forget when the video was, but it's been maybe 6 months to a year that I've been running Vault Warden. And it's been flawless. I have it set up so I can access it externally using Nginx reverse proxy or whatever, some of that kind of stuff. Because when you pull down when you do a self-hosted Vault Warden, you need to specify a custom URL in the Chrome extension so that it knows where to go to get the data from. And so I have an internal URL that points to my internal Vault Warden, but I also can I can also reach it externally through a DNS resolvable deal there. We're not going to go into the whole, this is security, whatever, blah, blah, blah stuff. Security is at your own risk when you do stuff like this. So I will not get into the whole of that. Just make sure you are doing things securely and you have stuff locked down as much as you can and still be able to reach it. With Nginx Reverse Proxy, you can specify addresses that require authentication, so secondary authentication to get to it if you really need to do that. So where are we at here? So in terms of Bitwarden, Vault Warden, I love it. I used LastPass before that, and I went over to Vault Warden. It's been flawless, no issues. In fact, I have my wife on it now, mostly. So she's able to use it, then it's working well. I have it on my phone as well. It syncs between my phone and 2 or 3 computers that I run. Right now I'm using a Real Link integration with live video feed from my porch camera, and it has about a 10-second delay. What is a Real Link integration? To Home Assistant. Yeah, you might want to look at RTSP and go directly to something like VLC if you want to do it that way, or do the WebRTC. I have the videos on the WebRTC stuff. Check those out. It'll tell you how I did it. I have a video where I'm reviewing the Real Link Wi-Fi camera, which will be out later today. And I have the RTSP stream that's specific to that camera, but I assume it's the same for all Real Link cameras. So if you want to get an RTSP stream directly from the camera, there's a URL that I mentioned in that video for that as well. Let's see. Yeah, the whole delay thing is that's a whole story in and of itself. And it just has to do with protocols and CPU processing power and a whole bunch of stuff that is a whole discussion all by itself. But WebRTC has been pretty much real time for me. And that's my go-to. And I go to that from a Blue Iris perspective. I ran Blue Iris for a long time. On Blue Iris, I was able to pull up video feeds and watch them directly in the Blue Iris. It's called UI3 now. Someone actually wrote a UI for Blue Iris that got pulled into Blue Iris, but it shows pretty much real-time camera views. The WebRTC stream does the same thing. Rather than the NVR, like Frigate or Blue Iris displaying it, it goes directly to the camera, pulls up the URL, and displays it that way. Remember, the caveat to stuff like this is if you're going to go to the RTSP stream from a widget or a web browser or whatever, it needs to be able to reach the camera on the local network. So you'll have to figure out, if you're trying to do it remotely, you may have to do some reverse proxy stuff or set up a link if you want to be able to see those cameras from outside of the network. Now, Frigate will still display stuff even outside of your network by using ingress or whatever method it uses. So that's still available to you as well. But look at WebRTC, Chris, because that's something that's worked well for me. Uh-oh, where did we just jump here? As I talk through all of this, by the way, y'all are probably answering these questions for me before I get to them. IP of the printer is all it needs. All right, so IPP. Yeah, so the question was, how do we get it without IP? And that's where I kind of went down that rabbit hole. And there has to be an IP address still on that printer. What's the best way to migrate to HA Blue from a VM? So I went from an Ubuntu tower computer, or I went from let me think here. I went from a computer, the mini tower computer, to HA Blue from the snapshot, and it worked okay. I'm guessing that probably you're migrating from a different type of install, and that type of install might be the problem for the integrations. I'm curious what's failed on the integrations and which one. I would suspect, this is just a guess, that it's probably something related to port access for the integrations, or port access or something like that, where the VM was doing something to try to get port access, or you installed these integrations manually for the environment you're on, and then you try to migrate them and they don't work anymore. All right, what is the best doorbell to work with Home Assistant? I don't know. I have Ring, but I don't use it for Home Assistant. There's probably a number of them out there, but you need one that will do, and I'm assuming video doorbells, and I think there's some folks on here that probably know the answer to that. So I'm gonna leave that one for a minute. Oh, you're moving to blue, huh, Johnny? That's interesting. Oh, good, Chris. I'm glad that helped. What integrations do you have? Probably, yeah. There we go. So we'll let the integration thing go here in the chat. We'll talk about that as it comes up. Anyone experience camera problems in Frigate after the last update? Can you be more specific? Oh, here we go. I have an EaseViz and Sonoff cam worked good before, but stopped working after update. Now gives me an ffmpeg invalid input. So does RTSP work for you, Ahmad, or not? EVIZ app and you'll show their cams without problems. I understand they're cheap cams over again. It depends on where you went from what Frigate version to what Frigate version, because there are some breaking changes in a couple of versions prior to the latest one. Make sure, or let's see, 0.9 has some breaking changes. So if you were on anything before 0.9 and you upgraded, you have to change your configuration file for it to work. But I'm curious what the issues actually are. Recommended size of SSD for HA. That's purely based on, what am I trying to say? That's based on what you're trying to do. If you're going to be storing Frigate video 24/7 from 5 or cameras or a bunch of cameras, you're going to need a bigger SSD. If you're just running the OS with stuff, like the Blue has, what does the Blue have? 128 or 256 gig? I had no issues with that. It really just depends on what you're going to do. It's just like, how big should I put the SSD in my server? Well, we don't know because we don't know what the server's doing. But it doesn't, the Home Assistant itself doesn't take much, but it depends on what you're adding to it. I don't know that there's a maximum value you want to get. I mean, there's a dollar, or there's a cost versus size ratio or formula you can come up with if you want to get real technical about it. But get a big one, and then you have room to grow. Otherwise, if you're only planning to run Home Assistant with a couple integrations, then you don't need a big SSD. So it's completely dependent on your use case for what you're going to do with Home Assistant. The substream for detect works okay. Recording not working. Zigbee to MQTT. I'm guessing that's a port issue. I'm going to go with a port issue on that, but I'll let Johnny kind of talk about that a little bit. Record not working. So is it not putting it in? I mean, it's hard to know with record not working. If your substream is working, then you may not have settings here now based on 0.9. So let me know what version you went from and then went to. All right, so I have implemented home energy. let me stop for a second because I need a breath. We have in the past live streams, and this is awesome. I really love the interaction today, but I haven't had this many questions come in all at once, so I'm really kind of rushing through a bunch of things. We can kind of dig in a little bit more as we get through some of these, but there's so many coming in. I'm just surprised, a little overwhelmed actually. So let me get through these, and we'll talk some more about some other stuff. I've implemented home energy meter following your tutorial. Offset of 14 days required, but I'm able to make an identical offset in the Home Assistant Energy dashboard. Math homework. Oh, better take care. Well, thanks for stopping by and enjoy your math. I hope it's good math, calculus, algebra, all those things we use every day after we get out of school. I've implemented home energy meter following your tutorial. Okay, so home energy meter. Let me just bring that up here real quick. So let's go to energy. So this stuff up here where we have today, day, week, month, and year, I don't know of any, unless it's in the settings for offset. Let me just look in the settings for offset for energy real quick. And I still have this sensor tariff issue myself. So when you say 14 days not able to make an identical offset in Home Assistant Energy dashboard, what does that mean specifically? Because I don't know of anywhere to set an offset. Home Assistant itself, under this whole energy thing, does these timeframes all by itself, and you have to actually, you almost have to conform to these to get them to measure correctly. I mean, it'll do a reset daily. It stores statistics and then it does the reset based on these values. So if it starts collecting daily data, and all these have to be in a daily format, it collects daily data. When the day is over, it takes a picture of, or it stores a value of where this was for the day, and just adds it to these other longer term views. So if I look at a week, the week view is, and it's interesting, I'm missing a bunch here. That's interesting. The week view then is a culmination or an addition of all these things for the daily values. So I'm not sure what the setting would be for that. So let me know a little bit more about that. How can I display cameras out of my network? I have cameras at my parents' home and want to add them to my Home Assistant for some automation. This is where, John, you need to look into something like, you probably need to put, okay, so let me back up. If you're trying to go directly to the camera, this is something where you may want to add port forwarding or to the camera, but then again, that's a security issue. My recommendation, again, security notwithstanding, and by the way, I'm looking, this is not my usage. Something went crazy here. On the camera stuff, if you want to see these, put a Home Assistant, like a Raspberry Pi or something over there, and then set Frigate up or something, right? And do an Nginx reverse proxy at their house, and then connect to it from there with a URL that only you know about, a funny port or something, and then put authentication on the Nginx reverse proxy so that you have to authenticate to get to that. So it's not open to the public. It's not just a Home Assistant issue, right? If you want to access something inside of a private network, you have to make a hole to get to that private network, and you have to make it publicly routable. So you have to tell your Home Assistant instance where to go to get those camera feeds. And so it's not just, like I said, not just a Home Assistant thing. You just have to open up the network ports or create a path to that location. Now, you could also do something like Tailscale or WireGuard, or create a VPN between Home Assistant and your parents' house or whatever. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but you need to create that path, and probably the VPN option if you have enough bandwidth. And Tailscale is super easy. You can put a Tailscale server. You can put a device inside your parents' network and put Tailscale on it, like the Home Assistant add-on, and then open up and make it a subnet router so that the IP addresses on that are available to your network. Make sure that you don't duplicate the IP ranges on both of those, and then you can connect it that way. So there's a whole slew of ways to do that. Tailscale might be the easiest. Put a Home Assistant at their house with Tailscale on it, or if there's something else running in their house that you put Tailscale on, like a Windows PC, it has to be able to do subnet routing. And I don't think Windows PCs can do subnet routing. The whole subnet routing thing you need to look at on either my video or somebody else's video that talks about what subnet routing is and how you use that. But basically, it allows you to connect to IP addresses, non-public IP addresses on the other network. And Tailscale automatically knows where this is and just routes your traffic that way. So that's an option for doing that. In Blue Iris Home Assistant Guide, you showed how to set up the MQTT on Blue Iris, but how do you set up that part in Home Assistant? In your Blue Iris Home Assistant Guide. So I didn't show how I set up. So when you set up MQTT, as long as you're using MQTT on Home Assistant, it creates the entities for you. And I don't have Blue Iris running anymore, but let's see if I have anything left over from Blue Iris on here. I don't think I do anymore. When you do MQTT stuff, I thought I went through this actually. I had some MQTT sensors I set up in the configuration.yaml. So let me just pull that up real quick and make sure that I have that. Give me just a second here. Whoops. Cancel. I don't want you there. I don't want you there either. All right, so let's go over here and see what we have for sensors. I set up a bunch of MQTT stuff for Home Assistant when I was doing Blue Iris, I believe. MQTT. Yeah, give me, I'm pulling it up here. I'm trying to make sure I don't have a bunch of stuff showing here that I don't want to show on the live stream. So give me just a second to sanitize it for everybody. But basically, when you set up it's the same for any kind of MQTT setup. So let me just show you some MQTT stuff. So if you go into either your configuration, or in my case, I have it split out as sensors.yaml, I can create MQTT sensors if they're not already created in Home Assistant. Now there's a Blue Iris integration that automatically should create some of these sensors for you, as long as you set it up on the Blue Iris side to send the correct topics over. I don't think you need to do any of this stuff here. It should be automatic. I thought that was covered in the video. So did you not see? I'm not sure, that maybe I missed out on some of that or didn't do it right, but there should be some discussion about the Blue Iris stuff in here. Let me just see if there's a Blue Iris. Yeah, see, there's a Blue Iris NVR integration, and you set up your hosts and your port. And then if you need a username and password for your Blue Iris server, you would set that in here as well. That's one way to do it. And then the other way is the MQTT stuff that you can set up the servers in. It's been a while since I've done that, so I'm a little I forget some of that stuff. And by the way, if I don't answer your question here on the live stream as well as I need to, I will do my best to answer it later on. You can get into my Discord server and ask me. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to get on there and be able to answer it right away, but I will eventually get to it. And also in Discord, there's a lot of knowledgeable folks in there who can answer these questions as well. So just in the general or one of the topic channels in my Discord server, just throw these questions. And there's some topics over here under these different areas. You can throw some of these questions in these areas here, and hopefully some folks will answer those for you. So here's some discussion here going on outside the channel. Anyway, so there we go. Just put some stuff in Discord as well if I don't answer it on the live stream today, because I'm not going to be able to get to everybody's stuff. And I have to do some research on some of this. Like, I forget what I did here, but let me know what we're missing on that, because I thought I covered some of it, but I need to go watch the video and see. Evis DB1 or AMR. Okay, now I'm confused about what this is. Was there a question? Okay. All right. Broke after HA update. That would be the substring. So I'm still working. I'm on the latest version of Home Assistant for both my devices, I believe, and I'm not having issues. So I'm curious, are there, if you go look in the logs, I'm at for the integration. So supervisor, frigate, and you look in here under logs, and you've got to make sure that you have debug set up in the configuration, but look through here and see if you have anything coming up in the logs that tell you maybe what's going on. Because being a Linux administrator for a lot of years, the first place I always went were the log files, because it's hard to see what the problem is until you actually hit the log files and kind of say, oh, there's where to start. So make sure you're looking at the log files and see what's going on maybe there. And then we can go from there. Hello, Zappy. You made it before the end of the stream today. Yay. So no frigate changes. Yeah. So look at the logs, Ahmad, and just see if there's anything going on there. Let's see here. I have two different dashboards: tablet, desktop mode, and mobile device. What HACS plugin can I use for it to detect the browser type and redirect to use the proper dashboard? All I know of is that folks are creating different dashboards for the different types of devices. But we can do this. User agent detection. So is this still around? Interesting. So this thing called custom header, I've seen, I don't know if this is it for what we're talking about. Allow you to show hide entire views based on those conditions among it. You can read about the docs. Hide a single card. That's specific users. Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is one thing to do. There is a user agent, a matching word or phrase from devices. You can find this at the bottom, the custom header setting. So you can have different settings depending on the conditions listed below. When using multiple conditions, one needs to match, etc. So user agent is a condition you can use in custom header. So let's look at custom header adds enhancements and customizations to Home Assistant Loveless header. Custom header is a replacement and successor of compact custom header. I don't know if this would actually change your dashboard necessarily, but it does change the way the header is displayed. But I still think a lot of folks are making dashboards based on individual devices. For example, this that you're looking at here, this dashboard is my Office tablet, and it has everything I need to display on my Galaxy tab, my old Galaxy tablet. Things that I want to look at, well, I'm sitting here and I can look over here to the right, and that tablet's sitting right here, and it fits all neatly on that tablet screen. And I had to make some changes because my main dashboard is this one that has more stuff on it. But number one, I don't need all of this for my main dashboard. I don't need to see all of it. Plus, it's too big and it's not nice and squared up to fit, or rectangular to fit on that dashboard. So I've got two of them created. That's something I need to look more into, because I don't know if that is actually a thing where you can change that. So sorry, I don't have a good answer for that, but I don't know all of that, because I've created separate ones for each one. The user password, you can configure the Blue Iris integration is easier for Blue Iris, not the Blue Iris. Yeah, so I need to get into that video and see what I've missed on there. I know I created something where I send the MQTT over to Home Assistant, and I think maybe actually it is in HACS that I did this. I gotta find my stuff here. So if I look for Blue Iris here, let's say integrations. I'm just in my mind, I think there's got to be something I did that had all this built in, because I had to make the MQTT on Blue Iris match what the proper topics and formatting was, so that it would be picked up automatically by Home Assistant. Could be wrong on this. Let's just do this real quick, because I'm pretty sure I want to make sure I get this answered for you. Look. Where's my actual channel? Blue, let's see. I need to find my actual channel so I can look at my videos and see what we got. Let's do this. Blue Iris. Blue Iris MBR add-on. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how you can send Blue Iris motion. And then I have an index here, so let's see what I have. Install, add test month, add picture, wrap up. Okay, so this is not it. Oh, yeah. So I think what we're doing here. MQTT on Blue Iris, and so we'll do that next. Okay, so the first thing to do, configure about all that, and I've already got. So we go through all this, right? We set up all these things here to have a very specific setup, and then blah 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 blah. We go through all of this. See, and this is where we had to be very specific to these things. Blue Iris Cam, and then it gets picked up in Home Assistant, but I'm not sure what I did in. I think I see what you're talking about. I forgot to do this. So do me a favor, and let me know what in Discord. Just remind me so I can look into this a little bit more, because I thought I had done that, and maybe I made a video on my mind while sleeping but never published it or something, and I'll look into that a little bit more. But it can be done, and it may require setting up custom sensors, and I have a blue iris alert sensor, but I don't see that I have a blue iris sensor for anything but my weather stuff. Well, I'll take that back. Okay, so I do have these. I'm not using them anymore, but I have MQTT set up in here. They're commented out. These would be my alerts from MQTT to Home Assistant. So see this blue iris alert back porch? That's in the configuration of the video I just showed you. They had that and camera thing in there. That's what this is. So it tells you which camera made the alert or whatever. I just probably overlooked. All right, so I don't want to dwell on that too much more. It's something that I need to go into and look a little bit better. So just hit me up in Discord and we'll see what we can do with that. Let's see, where are we at here? So user password, and you have, all right, so the user password, okay, so you may have invalid args defined for this camera. This is what I get now. That if you're using ffmpeg arguments, there was a breaking change for that. You may want to just remove the ffmpeg arguments entirely unless you need that for something. But there were some breaking changes in this as well. So you may need to go there and just make sure that the configuration matches. And you can find all this stuff in some of my videos, but you can also find it in the documentation. If we go into the documentation and look at the, where is the documentation? Here we go, docs.frigate.video. And when you go down here to configuration file, there's a full configuration file in here somewhere, a full example. Yeah, here's a reference. One of the things that got changed in terms of recordings was the where they put the recording stuff. And I talk about this on version 9 of the video, but recording is now under a different layer or level of the tree, and you have to set things specifically to that because it records all the time now. And you also have to get rid of some other stuff within the configuration file. You can also look at breaking changes on their website down here somewhere, I think, or at least on this page here. Or I lie. I don't know where it is. There's breaking changes on the update page somewhere. Where? Where'd it go? When they do updates, they'll talk about what's broken, but the whole 0.9 version is different because he had updated a bunch of stuff to it. But check into those ffmpeg settings because I think that might be one of your issues there. I have the same 14 as offset. I use energy tab for those tariff calculations. Energy dashboard I use for stats. I don't think you can have an offset. Yeah, so exactly right. I don't see an offset for the 14 days. Try a VPN or zero tier or tail scale. Yep, that's what I recommend for those cameras. That way you're not exposing them out to the internet. No problem. I mean, I've never missed anything in my life looking right at it. All right. If you expose network devices, be very careful. Tail scale and so any VPN will split tunnel can work too, but you have to make it secure. Yep. And there we go with something I can't pronounce. Well, let's see. What do we have in here? What's delicious? Do I need to look this stuff up? Dare I put this in a translator and see what this is? Is this like some sort of cookies or something? I'll do the soft screen real quick. I'm not good at my Swedish. I think it's Swedish. Could be wrong with that too. English results. Now it's rolls. So it is Swedish. So you're craving rolls. But I'm sure that's not exactly what that says. All right, so we made it to the end of the questions already. All right, so what else do y'all have for questions today? Let's put this back. I've always liked to leave my dashboard up here. One of the things that I put on my my video just not too long ago, yesterday, on my the timeline feed or the community feed was this thing. I don't know how many of y'all watched me talk about that S31 plug and how I ripped the the pad here. You can see these little pads for ground, and we have some other stuff here. This is VCC, this is receive, and this is transmit. And I connect that to a little board here when I want to program. It's this little board right here, which won't focus because I turned off autofocus, but it's a Moina board. And this is a USB board that allows me to connect serially to a USB port. And with that, I can program these kind of plugs. I Tasmatize these S31 plugs, so I don't have to use a Sonoff cloud on them, although I think Sonoff has local control now. But anyway, I ripped this pad off trying to solder to it. I have since then ended up with these little things here based on y'all's suggestions. I use these little clips. And again, this isn't going to focus very well, but I have these little clips here that you can kind of see the little grabber hook come out of there. And then the other end is a little plug where I can put this into some other wiring. Anyway, I'm using these now to go right to those boards. In fact, I ordered 2 S31 plugs today. I would get some Cloud Free Shop plugs, but they are out of stock. And we put up some holiday decorations in the last day or so. And I needed this plug because it's the last one I have. And I hated just trashing this thing because I couldn't get it to program. And so I messed with this thing for about an hour yesterday. And I scraped off a little bit of the board. And if you look at boards, multi-layer boards, circuit boards. Let me see if I can find a picture of this, and I'll get dinged by YouTube for it. Pass through. Really? Let me find an image. So you can kind of see, I mean, I don't want to get crazy with these pictures, but there's on a multi-layer PC board. I'm probably going to get dinged for this. There goes my copyright infringement. Well, that's not helpful at all, is it? There's this concept of a pass-through, and there's all kinds of different ways, but there's these boards actually have multiple layers in them, and the circuits run not just on the top and bottom layer, but all the way through all these layers. And this right here is a pass-through. And what I did on this board was I dug down, hoping there was something like that, because there's no trace on top of this board for this receive pad. And I dug into this little thing right here. I know it's hard to see on the video, but there's a tiny little pad right here. And I took one of those wires that I just showed you, and I put it on there. And on this little board here, this serial board, there's a transmit and receive light. And every time I did a Tasmatize on it, you could see the transmit light flashing, but you couldn't see anything back from the receive. And I did this a bunch of times. I tried the back side of the board. I tried everywhere. And I thought, man, what is going on with this? And then I went in and reversed the wires, and I could see when I hooked up the other one, I could see a lot of data coming from it. So I knew the pad was doing something. And so after a couple hours of messing with this thing, or an hour of messing with this thing, what I found out was you have to reset. And there's this button right here. You have to reset it, which I knew. I made a video on this thing. I knew I had to reset this and get it into a mode where it would accept firmware flashing. What I didn't realize, and I don't know, this could be completely coincidental, or maybe it's required. But when I hold this button down to reset it, I've got to power it. So I hold the button down, plug in the USB cable that powers this little USB serial thing. And then it goes into firmware flashing mode or whatever. I don't know why, but I tried that about 4 or 5 times and it never worked. Well, then I went ahead and I held a wire on here. So this is where you have 5 hands. I held the wire on here from the serial board. I held the button down and I plugged it in all at one time. And that's when it went into flashing mode. So I don't know if it needs a signal here when you do that, but it seems like that's the case. And after I did that, I was able to flash this board holding the wire on using Tasmatizer, and now it is up and running and ready to accept my my commands. Wahaha. So this is the Tasmatized S31 now that I have set up, and it is running upstairs on a tree, a holiday tree, that I'll be able to automate. Because what I want to do with my holiday stuff, especially my trees, and look, I don't live in a massive mansion. I have like a little kid's tree and a regular tree. So don't think I have like all these trees everywhere, but I have decorations. Let's call them decorations. When I leave the house and go somewhere and no one's here, I want all that stuff turned off. I don't like it on when no one's here, but I like to come in and have all the holiday decorations on and stuff. So what I do is I automate that. And I use Node-RED and stuff, and I automate these switches so that I can turn them on or off either manually. Let's say part of my nighttime routine, when I hit that nighttime widget on my phone, shuts all the holiday lighting off in addition to garage doors and turns the alarm on and everything else. So anyway, I wanted that to work. And so I finally got through this whole thing. That thing sat in a Ziploc bag or a plastic bag for months. And I thought I was never going to be able to resurrect it. In fact, last night after playing with this for an hour, I thought I'm never going to resurrect this. And then just on a whim, I held that wire there while I was doing the reset and powering it up, and whatever magic happened, and it was working, and I'm good to go. So I was very excited about that. Thought I'd post it on the community channel, which I did because I was so excited about it. It's a small win, but it's those small wins that really make it worthwhile. All right. So yes, I love when people ask me about my dashboard. So Mr. Semla says, watching your dashboard, I see you have a water meter. So this is, where's it? Right here. Actually, both of these are water meters. This is the daily water usage, 177.3 gallons. And this is my current usage. So yeah, it is not an ESP device. It is actually this thing. And I don't know if this is a worldwide available thing or just US based or whatever. This is called a flume water meter. And this is actually, I have the first version of this. And all it does is, can I find the picture here? All it does is it straps onto my water meter using like a rubber belt thingy. It goes around the water meter and it picks up whatever it picks up in the water meter. The rotation of the, somebody told me this on the last live stream. It picks up when the water flows through, that little thing spins in there and it picks it up. And then it just measures my water usage. So like this, there it is. It goes around my water meter in the ground. I just strap it on, it's battery powered. Now it is cloud-based, but I have API access to it. And it allows me to measure my water usage. It also will alert me if there's leaks or it continuously runs or whatever. So that's all I do is just strap it on there. And then I have a little sensor, a little receiver in the house that just feeds it into everything. And then I have an integration, a Flume integration on it. That's what runs that right there. So it's not an ESP32. I'd love to have that option, but I would have to figure out how to power it. This thing has built-in, well, this thing has batteries I have to replace every so often, which I guess I could do with an ESP32. But somehow it's smart and it picks up, and somebody told me and I forgot, when that wheel spins inside the water meter, it picks that up and it sonically measures the number of ticks or whatever. I don't even know how it works. It's all magic to me. It's really cool magic. So there's that. Sonoff has an integration, HACS, and local support. Yep, I have been told that. There is something to be said for having a bunch of different types of products, and there's something to be said for being standardized. If I have these S31s and I flash them, I prefer to have all S31s running the same thing versus having some Sonoff. I have one Sonoff device, and that is my freezer temperature. This thing right here is a Sonoff device, and I measure the internal temperature. It's not been flashed with Tasma on it. It runs strictly Sonoff. And so I get that. I don't know if it's local anymore. It was when I started and I put it in there, it was not local. It was cloud-based. And that may or may not still be true. I don't know if I have to change something to make it. But I do like the idea of having a lot of the same, all my stuff having the same setup or the same kind of back end, like Tasmotor or something like that. I'm not against using other products, and I have a bunch of different products in my setup. but I like the ease and use of flashing that stuff real quick. Like, I could use a jig. Yeah. And in that community post, I said there were other options. I think DigiBlur has something that he puts on the chip. I even tried to, I went out there and I was pushing, I was going a little crazy with this thing. I was getting to the point where I looked this chip up to see what it was. It's some sort of power metering chip. So it wasn't that, but I went ahead and tried to follow a trace and said, hey, maybe it goes right here. And I stuck the thing there, figuring if I blow it up, it doesn't work anyway. So I was doing weird stuff with this last night and finally got it to work. On the back side of this is a few more chips, but they're hard to get to because of this thing that's soldered on here. Anyway, I got it to work and I'm so excited that I was able to finally get through to that and use that thing. Let's see, Smart thinks CPR. I'm lost on that one. You have to tell me what that means. What are you guys using for presence detection most reliably? I have Unify very reliable before now it's going on and off. Not using HE mobile app. I have never been satisfied with GPS or presence detection in Unify. I wonder, actually, let's just see what I show here. Let me just pull up that. Oops, that's not going to work. Let's go to my other deal again and see if it shows any Unify stuff. I could add the Unify integration. Oh, I can't do it here. Anyway, on Unify integration, I do want to show that. So let's try another way. Early on, I've never been happy with presence detection, simply because if I were to use my phone and my phone goes into Wi-Fi saver mode or whatever, it's going to say you're not there because the Wi-Fi shut off. So that's not very good for presence detection. That's a whole nother area that I know that there's been a lot of work on. A lot of people have done stuff with, but I've never been successful at it. And one of the things is I haven't figured out a use case for that yet because my family, I can't rely on automated away or hear stuff for like alarm setting and things like that. In fact, we got burned one time. My in-laws came and watched the kids, and I had automation set up to determine when both my phone and my wife's phone were gone. And of course, when that happened, it armed the alarm system. Somebody moved in the house and it set the whole thing off. And at that point, that was it. I now manually add those things. I would like to look at it a little bit more, though, these days, but I want to see, just out of curiosity, there is a Unify integration that I have set up, which is probably what you're using. Unify, unless I removed it. I might have removed it because I changed Unify stuff to a different cloud controller. I'm just looking through here, all of my integrations real quick to see if I see it. I know I'm answering that question for everybody. Here it is, 85 devices. Okay, so I have all these devices here, and I don't know if they are actually, well, hold on one second. Let me go back one, and let me look at entities. Does it tell me? Yeah, see, I have all these entities here, and I don't see, under status, I see nothing. Does that mean it's not telling me whether it's there or not? Like, let's just pick something like my phone. Let me find my phone. It starts with a G. There it is. So device tracker, that's done by Unify. It's provided by Unify. See, it's showing me as away. And I don't know why it's showing me as away when I'm here. So maybe that's the wrong device. But anyway, I've never found that Unify stuff to be particularly accurate when it comes to telling me whether something is here or not. So if I look at, this is there, it's always there. Does it show us it away? No, so this one's here. So my phone thinks it's away, and probably because it went into Wi-Fi saver mode or something. So I'm curious too what people are using on that, because it's not reliable, and I've never found it to be reliable for that reason. For using a phone, it is. If you're doing something like Bluetooth location, that might be a little bit better. You need things like an ESP32 with BLE on it in order to do presence detection. But you have to, in my house, I can see multiple rooms with one ESP32 device. So how do you know whether or not you're in one room or the other? if it can see it from different rooms. So yeah, I've never been really good with that. You need to push the button down while you plug in the USB, then you can program it. Yeah, I did that, Gunner, but it didn't seem to take until I kept the receive wire on the board at the same time. That was the final time it worked. And I don't know if it was coincidental or it saw the receive and transmit signal. And at that point, that's when it actually said, okay, I'm going to go into flash mode and let me do some firmware updates. So I tried that a whole bunch of times and I was really disappointed. Oh, you can't see this. I did this a bunch of times and I really couldn't get it to work correctly until the last time, and then it does. So I've had this question a couple of times. How do I add a $4 fee to tariffs for accurate energy cost tracking? I, again, have not been successful in getting this to accurately calculate. I know I made a video on it, and it's a basic video on how my stuff works here. And then I just automatically assume this $4 fee. Has anybody actually added an additional fee to their energy cost tracking as a static fee? I'm thinking you just add it to the sensor. So you've got a sensor and then you just go ahead and add it in there. But I don't know if that would work correctly. So I'm curious if anybody else is doing that. And if you want to go into Discord, Miguel's asked this in Discord as well. And I haven't had a good answer, Miguel, and I apologize for that. I need to research it more, in other words, as well. So if someone knows, let's just do that already. If not, let us know how to do that. Here we go. Someone's telling me again. The water meter has a small magnet on the wheel and through its counted. So why does every water meter in the US or in the world have this magnet? Is that a standard and that's how they're able to do it? Because one of the issues I had when I first got a Flume water meter was it was reading every little pressure change, and they did something remotely on their end, and all of a sudden it was pretty accurate. They made a little small change. They said it was related to pressure changes in the line. I guess that's that magnet kind of flickering back and forth maybe or something, but I didn't know it was a magnet. I think someone told me something else, but maybe that's true. And it would have to be a standard for them to sell that product to everybody because it has to measure it the same way. So I'm just curious about that. Let's see here. What about a double system? I've been just starting with automation, but my presence detection for me or my wife is based on both Wi-Fi presence and last geo. That can be done as well. I've seen that happen as well. I think someone mentioned it down here somewhere. Multi-layer detection is best for presence. Yep. So you need to know, you need to have, okay, Wi-Fi's on, BLE's on, and something like, I use OwnTracks, or I'm not actively using, but it's still there. It's still doing stuff. OwnTracks is a location companion that has an integration. And it's in there right now. Let's see. Let me pull that up I want to make sure I'm not showing too much stuff here, which is why I pull it off for a second and see what it shows. Live streaming, you got to be careful what you reveal on the stream. So I have OwnTracks. So let me go into OwnTracks and make sure it's not showing something bad here. One device, one entity. And what does it show for entities? Device tracker. So OwnTracks, you set up zones as well. And I know that the last time it updated was 2 days ago. But I haven't played with this in a while, so I don't know what the status of this is. It could just be that it's not working right, or I don't have it configured right anymore. But it shows me home as of 2:36 p.m. And it's based on GPS location. So it might be accurate. But that tells me I'm in the general vicinity of and you can do this with Home Assistant's app as well. You can use the Home Assistant app. You don't need necessarily OwnTracks or something like that. You can create a zone and say, okay, when you're inside your home zone, then you set the status that way in Home Assistant. I don't necessarily need OwnTracks anymore for that. But you set your home zone on the app. You've got to have the app installed on your device for this to work. Not this, but the Home Assistant app to be able to use their zones. So that's a possibility as well. But I think you do need multiple stuff. So here, Nicholas says a phone, smartwatch, BT, key fob, car sensor. Yeah, I think with this stuff, you just really have to, and I say this a lot of this is use case. Like you have to set up based on how your presence detection would work. So in other words, for me, if I know that I leave and I take my phone with me every single time, I would set up, and I drive my vehicle, right? And this is what Nicholas is saying. Maybe you have something in your vehicle and you have your phone, and maybe even a Bluetooth device of some sort. When all those three things come together and say, I'm home or I'm in an area, then that's when you say, I'm in the area, and you can be pretty sure that you're really there. I don't know if anyone, I'm sure people have gotten this to work reliably and well with these kinds of things, but you're not going to have I'm going to just go and walk in a room with one device and it's going to be it, unless you have a BLE sensor in your pocket that has a range of like 5 feet, and you walk into that room and you know for sure that you're in that room because the BLE sensor picked it up. But you've got to carry that with you all the time. Your phone can transmit BLE. Most phones can, newer phones. So you could use that, but you've always got to carry it around. I see people trying to activate lights and do things based on location presence inside of a building, a small building like a residence. I don't know how well that works and what the use cases for that are, because you can set up a motion sensor in a room and have it do something. Now, if you want to have a specific thing happen for a person, then you have to determine who the person is, which means then you need either their phone or a Bluetooth sensor or something else to be able to tell that. I mean, you see what I'm going here? There's a lot of different ways to go with it, and a lot of different ways you can implement that. But Unify for me has not been reliable. Wi-Fi is not reliable for a phone because the phones, a lot of them will turn off Wi-Fi as a power saving feature unless they need something. So you're going to have this bouncing. I'm here, I'm not. I'm here, I'm not. That kind of thing. So yeah, you have a lot. You need multiple stuff to make that work. Network-based detection updates and GPS space worked in a bit different. I located a person with all family members, person GPS. Network-based, I can use family. Yeah, so again, that's like a use case scenario, right? You have to figure out what the best thing is that's going to work for you. Network-based family person changes to way only if all sensors go not home, but not GPS. GPS will change to last change value, no matter how many trackers you have in that person. And all my calculations and templates, yeah, the whole stuff, tariff calculation. Well, the whole tariff calculation formula with value templates got that idea from it. Yeah, so I guess I did it. You have to add the $4 in somewhere. That's what I'm saying. You probably need to put it in a template and just add that as part of your total values. I don't know if that displays. Ahmad, does it display correctly in the portal, or do you just use energy for kilowatt hour calculations or display and then go look at a sensor for your total value, including the other stuff? Yeah. So Miguel, make sure you just keep up in Discord and see if anyone else will get the answer. But I think you're going to need a template, and it may not display in the energy portal that way. You may have to add an additional sensor and then add that total to whatever your energy portal is showing. Is it possible to set the radius in Home Assistant smaller for present? I think so. Let me bring up my test deal and make sure I'm not showing my location. Not that I don't want y'all to not come visit, but I don't want y'all to. I don't want everybody to come visit. That's not going to work. How about in the address bar? This I need to get rid of this screen. It keeps coming up. So in Home Assistant, let me just make sure I'm not. And we go to configuration and we go to general. Let me see where I'm currently set at for my Home Assistant general. Let's move myself somewhere else. I don't even know how to move my location. How do I move my location? Can I? Nope. So it doesn't let me move my. Oh, you know what? It's getting it from my configuration.yaml file. So give me a second here. What I'm trying to do is show you how you can set that, but I don't want to show my exact location. So I've got to find out where that is set. Oh, it's not set there. So how does Home Assistant determine your location when it's not set in the configuration YAML, and how do you change that? That is a question I thought I could just set it here, but it's not letting me change anything. Is it doing it based on my IP address? Because I don't want that either. Well, anyway, yes, you can. Set radius, location, Home Assistant. That's not working. Set radius. When I add radius 50 underneath the Home Assistant section, I do check configuring error. Okay. Yeah, so this is zones, right? So you would set a zone, and then you would set a radius here. Is this old stuff? The new mapping stuff allows you to set that radius. Let me pull up my other one here offline to see if it has a better way to demonstrate this. No, I can't sing songs. I'll get dinged for that. General, and then well, that's interesting. So in my configuration for my main stuff here, I do have it's set for my location, I believe. And then it just puts it on the map that way. Yeah, so I have secret longitude, secret latitude, and my elevation. And I guess you can set zones, but I thought the map allowed you to do that better. And I'm sure it does. Yeah, so if no configuration is given, the zone integration will create a zone for home. It will use the location provided in configuration YAML and have a radius of 100 meters. To override this, create a zone configuration and name it home, overriding the home zone because the UI is not supported. Okay, so you can add other zones in there. Once you add other zones, then you can control those as well, I think on the UI. But you'll have to override it here under the zones settings to what radius you want it to be and all that. So yes, the answer is yes. You can change it, or do you know how to do it? That's how you do it. I live right next to the fire department. That's why I am at home in Home Assistant, even though I'm at the fire department. Yeah, so make it smaller. Like Ahmad says. BLA is for room presence, called Room Assistant. Room Assistant. I think I've heard of that. Oh, yeah. Automation on the room level. Presence tracking. How it works. Bluetooth integrations aim at detecting the devices you carry around with you. Thermal pile sensor integrations will detect humans by the heat they radiate, and regular motion sensors are also supported. Place a small board like a Raspberry Pi Zero into any room you want to track and install Room Assistant on it. There's ESP32, integrates with the Home Assistant core component to deliver room presence data for BLE devices. This is great as ESP32s are quite cheap. Requires you either to carry a BLE beacon around or have an app open on your Android phone at all times. Room Assistant supports many more integrations, including Bluetooth Classic. So Room Assistant is an option. I've heard of that before and I forgot about it. Thanks, Ahmad, for bringing that up, because that is something that can be done as well. In fact, that's going in my list of things, my to-do list of videos. Let me add that real quick. Let's just call it Room Assistant. Forgot what it's called already. Room Presence. Room Presence, and this will be BLE tracking. So that's in my list of videos to work on. That might be something fun. Let's see. I have a separate tab from energy, not the energy dashboard. I display. I don't want to badmouth the energy dashboard, but I tell you what, I'm not a super fan of it, because if I look, and you saw what I just showed a minute ago, like what happened to all this? I don't even know. Also, I did not spend $176,000 this week on energy. There's no way. So today, supposedly I spent $2.43. Yesterday, I spent $119,000. Hey, y'all are gonna have to support my channel if I don't keep this stuff up at that rate. Gee whiz. 1.1 million kilowatt hours. That's a small city. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if it's adding all this stuff together somehow, or something weird is happening. But anyway, I'm also not doing solar. So all I'm viewing is just this stuff. And I'm displaying it on, week, month, year basis. But I can do this as well. And had I not had all these questions today, which is awesome, and I had nothing to talk about, I was probably going to do a little Grafana stuff. But I've had questions to talk about, so I don't need to do this. But I do want to show you. You all have seen this. Maybe. Thank you, Grafana. Eventually, Grafana will load up. It does work. So if I look at my power new thing here, I have, this is total house power. Now I installed Emporia View, and it's, I have two things now. I actually have outside, I have my AOTech or IoTech thing. It's my power monitoring for the whole house. It's on my 220 circuit. And I have 220 outside that gets split inside in a panel to two 110 legs. It's just the way the house is wired. I can't see things like the dryer and the oven stove, and there's something else. Dryer, stove / oven. Those two things are 220 devices. There was another one, but I forgot. So I have to have this outside, and I'm measuring that with this. Well, I'm not on this page. House power. Thanks, Johnny. Thank you so much, Mr. Bergdahl. What even language is that? Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the energy. pay for my power usage. This is my power usage from that meter outside. It just kind of goes along here. And then I have this, this house power thing. And this house power thing is the Emporia View. And right away, number one, I'm looking at this and I can time shift this. I can look at it on different time periods, right? I can look at the last 30 days, for example. Now this one resets every day. So you're going to see this kind of up and down business as soon as it loads, if it ever loads. It's a lot of data. But you can see here, see every day it resets, and it's really hard to see this. Also, I can never click this when I'm streaming. Whatever. It goes up and down because it resets every day. But I can get an idea how much of my usage I'm getting, and I can display it in a much nicer looking platform than the energy. And again, I'm really applaud what Home Assistant is doing with the energy portal, but it doesn't have the ability to do what I do with Grafana and pulling data in and being able to manipulate it the way I want to view it. And that's strictly a personal preference of mine. It works well for a lot of folks, especially people who have solar, and you can look at ingoing versus outgoing power usage. So the point I'm making here is, if you're going to look at that stuff, the tariff bands and all that kind of thing, and it talks about here, tariff bands and costs are also grasped with my billing dates offset. I mean, you can go into Grafana. This runs on my Home Assistant Blue along with Influx, which feeds Grafana. You can run all this stuff here, and you can look at all this on a basis that's more tuned to what you want, to what you're trying to see. And a lot of these are hard coded, right? These are set for specific time frames, but I can change these to a month and look at this stuff. I can change all these to a different time frame. These are 1 month sensors. So right now, the inside of my house minus the air conditioner was the other one. Air conditioner, stove, and dryer. Those are all 220 devices. Everything else has used 13.23 kilowatt hours this month. But looking at the energy dashboard, you saw that I've used 1 million kilowatt hours. I don't really understand what's going on with that. So again, it's probably something in the way I have it set up that the energy dashboard is doing that. But I prefer to have more control over the way I display my stats and be able to display them in different ways here using something like Grafana and the data coming in, rather than using the energy dashboard, which is pretty locked down. Now, when they first started, it was one day only view. They now have a day, week, month, year view, which is great. They have the ability to look at the different devices that are displaying. But I'm looking at those here as well. Like these are all of the 16 different sensors that are on my inside of my panel that I display. So it's a personal preference thing. And I've never been really a fan of the energy portal. And it will come along. There are statistics cards in Home Assistant now that allow you to display graphs and things over time for any of the devices and entities that are compatible with a statistics card. And they've added a bunch of those. I just haven't played with it because Grafana is just so easy for me to do, or easy for me to use. And I just really like the way Grafana is. It's just Grafana is made for displaying things, and these other things are not. This needs to be today so far. Today so far. And then I can, and I really like being able to come here and see, okay, what's using up all my power today? Or did something going on somewhere where there's more power being used than normal? Like this, I've mentioned this a few times. My fridge, I don't know what its deal. It just has a problem. If I look at the last 7 days, and I'll just kind of drag in here to see, you can see here, I went back too far. Hold on. Last 7 days again. And I'll just do this, right? You can see where it's been running continuously, and then it starts cycling again. I forced the defrost. Again, this is, you ask, what's the purpose of all this stuff? Well, I can tell you there's a problem with the refrigerator because it never shuts off until I go force the defrost cycle, and then it starts doing it again. And it's just a problem with the controller board. I need to just order a new controller board and swap it out, and then I won't have this issue. But it does highlight the fact that there's a problem. And you can see here that it's probably one of the above the fan that runs the air circulation system in the attic. It's the second most used. This is the dishwasher and refrigerator combined. So that's using more power than everything else in the house. So I know that there's a problem that I need to get fixed on that deal, or watch it more closely and build an automation that says if it's running for more than X number of hours, there's something wrong with it, and I need to go do a manual reset on it. So that was a really long story about my thoughts on the energy portal and how I actually display the data. So I like that a whole lot. I like Grafana a whole lot more than that. It'll continue on. And then it will get better. And then you'll be able to just do it all in Home Assistant directly. But there are standalone apps out in the world that are designed for specific things, and they do a better job of that. And Grafana is one of them. Grafana is designed to display data and data over time. And that's what I use it for. All right. And I just slammed my cup down, which means you all probably just got an earful of sound. Go to HA map and edit up. Of course. I knew someone was going to tell me how ridiculous I was. Let's just see. Let me pull this back down so I'm not actually showing my location, configuration, general. Well, see, I don't have an edit. I think that's what I'm missing. I have no edit anywhere on my page. I can't show this on the screen because it's got my location, but for me, there's no edit on the map. I think that's what I'm running into. I wonder if there's a reason why I don't have an edit and everyone else does. Oh, well, okay. So, because I don't have any zones. I only have one. So I don't have an edit because it just defaults my home zone based on my configuration. And so if you add a zone, you can edit and change the radius. That's what I was going for. I knew there was a way to do that because they made a big deal a few versions of Home Assistant ago that allowed you to do that. So, yep. So give it a shot. I'm very late and you're an energy hog. Oh, am I now? So what's a standard energy? Oh, you mean $176,000? You betcha. Oh, that's ridiculous. Let me put this back. I don't like this. Well, let's go back to the dashboard so people can ask me questions about what's on my dashboard. This is cool. This is one of my latest playgrounds. I think this is my most, oh, you can't even see that. I'm in the way. Hold on. Look at that. So every time my radio transmitter in the attic transmits, it gets picked up by one of the GPIO pins on my my ESP8266, sends an MQTT message that tells me the radio is transmitting. And then I know it's like a on-air indicator for my radio. So I know when somebody's using my radio. I thought that was really cool. And of course, I made the video on these, monitoring the temperature of both the radio heatsink and the radio's power supply heatsink. Tells me the temperature of those devices, and then the voltage on the power supply. I got a lot of this video for some reason has gone crazy. The power supply voltage. So that's my fun thing there. I've done with that. I really like that a lot. So you can ask me other questions about my dashboard if you like. But welcome, James. Thanks for stopping by. I had that issue with my S31 Tasmania plugs. I had to reset the usage in the config. I have an issue every once in a while with my my appliance plugs getting stuck. Like my washing machine plug has started getting stuck in a certain certain value, like 600 kilowatt hours or 600 something very high, and I have to go turn it off and back on for it to actually reset. I don't know what's going on. It's almost like a Z-Wave issue. Is there a way to get tariff pricing into Grafana versus using the energy portal? Yeah. So you just have to understand like the query language. So you can do all kinds of stuff. You can create and if I didn't show that, we're asking this question, right? You can create a query. Oh, let's back up. You can create a template and just add that in addition to that, or you can go into one of these things here. And let's see if I have any costs anywhere. So I don't have cost, but I could add a thing here. I don't know what the sensor is called though, or the entity is called. So let's say dollars, and it will find the entity, hopefully for me. Oops, or not. I have nothing with dollars. USD, I think is what it is. USD. Yes, maybe. Oh, look at that. Where entity ID is, and then I can choose one. So here's tariff price. And today so far isn't doing anything. So let me go back for the last 30 days, see if there's even a value in there. Yeah. So this is my tariff price. This is not my total cost of usage, but my tariff price. So right away, this is where you start playing with it and start building on this. So I don't want tariff price. I want cost. And I don't know what this is representing because I forget what these values are. But if this is cost over time or cost, I don't know what this thing does. And I would have to go into my sensors and see, or my configuration and see what that is. And I don't see here. So if we look at, just checking to make sure there's nothing bad in here. Okay, so if we look at this here, so I've my utility meter, my monthly energy. The source is my home energy meter, G2 electric consumed kilowatt. That's the outside meter for the whole house. And I've got a peak and off peak. And then I've got, hey, Bruno, thanks for the subscribe. Sensor home energy meter, G2 electric consumed kilowatt hours. That cycles monthly. And then I have energy, the same thing that cycles monthly. I don't know. I did this for a reason, and it was in the video, and it's for me to be able to calculate stuff. So anyway, there's the utility meter that resets every month that gets pulled into the utility stuff. This is a home energy meter, G2 electric consumed kilowatt hour cost. And that's another sensor I probably created somewhere. But anyway, you can play with this, and you can go into the query here, and you have the potential for adding an additional amount of dollars here, or you can just create a template sensor and add it to it. Add it to Grafana, so it'll display in Grafana. I think when you say get the tariff pricing, Brian, into Grafana, is it one of those two things where you're looking at the tariff price like I just showed here? Let me get back out of this. Either it's the tariff price, which is this. And if I go down here and I create, where's the connected always? See, and I don't know what is going on before this date. We go back 90 days. Oh, it's just not, there's just nothing there. It doesn't ever, it only updates here when it changes. So you'll only see a thing here, I think, when it changes. But these are the last 90 days of tariff prices. See, there's a beginning of month where it drops down. This is what's happening. This is supposedly when I reach my threshold, my 600 kilowatt hour threshold. It does that. Now this is interesting too. So I'm at September 1st, I'm at my lower tariff price, and then I'm at my higher tariff price a few hours later. So I know something weird is going on with that tariff pricing stuff. So I need to check into that. So here is basically the first of the month. And then 10 days later, I've already hit my tariff price, my 600 kilowatt hours, which bumps me up into the next tariff. Now, this doesn't even apply in the wintertime, which means I haven't turned, the automation shouldn't be running at all during the wintertime. Point is, you can get the tariff price in here, but you can start playing with some of this other stuff you're talking about in order to get that stuff in your Grafana. So the whole tariff thing is just crazy. I mean, the more we play with this, the more I learn about tariff prices around the world, the more I just realize, number one, no one does it the same. And number two, it's just really crazy. And I'm assuming, because I'm not a commodities broker or whatever else, that it's the way of the world. And anybody who works in finance or does commodity pricing on utilities or commodity pricing on whatever, this is just the way it works. And I was never aware of it. As a personal consumer of electricity, they send me a bill, I pay it, I kind of look at it, but I don't get into the details. Here, we're almost forced to get into the details because we need to be able to calculate this and provide an accurate picture of our usage, but we got to figure out what the power company or utility company is doing to make our bill up. And I don't know if they overcomplicate it so much just to make it hard for us to really understand. There's no way I could fight it because I don't even know what they're doing. It's just so crazy out there. So yeah, it's just hard, and everybody's got a little bit different stuff. But there are definitely a lot of different ways you can put the fixed cost, which I have as well, in addition to figuring out what your tariff rate is. So the accumulation of the different tariff prices, peak, off-peak, mid-peak per day by energy use. So you're talking about showing this, like how much you're being charged per during each time frame of whatever. This happens to be 90 days, but if yours changes hourly or something, it would bump up and down. You would just take that tariff price you created under your energy settings and just plot it on here. It should be if it's in Home Assistant, it should show up as an entity for you to look at. And by the way, you can always go to your developer tools and look and see what kind of, entities, if it's in here and you haven't blocked it out of going into influx or something like that, you should be able to see it. See, right now, this is my center tariff price, and it's based off of, it should say related here somewhere. No, it doesn't. Well, this is what made it hard to find. Like the tariff price is supposed to be related to, or I created this somehow, and I can't remember how I did it now. Again, I have to go back and watch my video, but these are the three things that I can get. And of course, the attributes, my off-peak and peak usage. I'm currently in peak usage. It was triggered on 11/12. So 12 days into the month, I already hit my peak usage. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe. I mean, I run computers and stuff here, but maybe it's true. But again, it's just crazy, right? You have to really dig into it. And since all this energy stuff is new in Home Assistant, it's still being worked out. Everybody just has to kind of build their own stuff. And I need to fix mine because I don't really believe what it's telling me right now. So yeah, complexity and our bill is a pain to figure out. Yes, please watch my videos. That'd be great. Thanks, Ahmed. So let's see. Hi, Arjan. Welcome to the stream. We are about, 1:30, about an hour and a half into it or so. I think 1:30, 2:30. Yeah, hour and a half. I will go for a little bit longer today because this is good. I like this good interaction. I was going to do an automation on mine to catch if the fridge or freezer dies. Like, what would it be, James? Because I have this, and this is what I like about this live stream. I can go in here and kind of show stuff around, different things, and y'all can ask more stuff about it. I do have videos on Node-RED and some of the stuff I've done in Node-RED, but this is how I do my, I don't have a, let me think what I was about to say, fridge. I don't have it. If it dies, I do have a temperature alert. And my brother kind of helped me with this one. This one to me seems much, it seems really, there's a lot to it. But basically what happens if the temperature is above or below 45 degrees, it does one of two things. If it's above, it does a temperature alert. And every 30 minutes, it starts a timer for 30 minutes, and then it creates a 2-hour loop, notifying me every 2 hours that the temperature is above that threshold. If it goes above it, it waits 30 minutes the first time. I don't want to be alerted until it's been that way for 30, because if we're unloading groceries or something and the door's open, it may go above the threshold for a little bit, but I don't need to know about that until later. So it gives it a 30-minute kind of a 30-minute window to wait. Something's going on. And if it drops back down below the 45-degree threshold, it sends a restored alert and stops the timer. And of course, everything goes out to pushover, and then it talks on my smart speakers. Tells me that, and it only talks on my smart speakers between 7:30 and 10 p.m. because I don't need to be woken up about it. It's kind of an emergency, but I don't want to get woken up about it. So I don't have the smart speakers talk about it. But pushover is 24/7, and I can mute my phone at night or put on do not disturb. So anyway, I have that thing. And then of course if the door is left open for more than 2 minutes, it starts a loop that tells me the door's open. It announces it on the smart speakers and gives me a pushover notification. That's how I've automated my stuff, James, for the fridge or freezer dying, not dying, but those particular scenarios. But I'm curious when you say die, what your definition of dying would be. Like if it stops running. I assume power-wise is what you're talking about. Let's see here. Grafana is a new world to me. Let's say I want to show the highest and lowest temperature ever measured. How would that be accomplished? Influx and Grafana is running already. Okay, so, excuse me. So let's go to Grafana. Ever measured? I don't know. It's going to be time-based. You can do higher or lower ever measured. You just are going to have to set your time thresholds far back. But let's go into Grafana and I'll show you a quick little thing. Thanks, James. Yeah, I've been running that temperature thing for a long time. Before I had power monitoring on that refrigerator, I had temperature issues. We would come in and find stuff too warm. And the whole problem is that the controller board, for some reason, doesn't fire off a defrost cycle. And we have one of those stacked, the freezers in the bottom. We have French door top refrigerator. So all of the cold air for the fridge actually starts in the freezer and gets blown up behind the panel into the refrigerator part. And if it freezes down below, those coils freeze up, then no airflow gets to the top, and then there's no cold air on the top. The freezer always works. It's always cold in the freezer. The problem is the refrigerator not getting any cold air because the pathway for the air is frozen over because the defrost cycle doesn't run. So a long time ago, I put the Xiaomi with the BLE, the ESP32, picking up the data there and feeding that to me. And that's always displayed on my my dashboard here. And it will turn red if it gets too hot. But my dashboards show the fridge temperature right now is 37 degrees. So I always have this displayed. And all these things are muted on here unless there's a temperature issue. And then they will turn a red color or whatever. So that's what I do with those. Anyway, I love playing with that stuff. And it's nice to have that alert saying, okay, your temperature is getting too high. And then I go push a manual defrost on the controller board. So go in here and I'm going to look at, I don't want that. I want power. So Mr. Samuel asked about Grafana. So we can do a couple of different things, right? We can do I'll do an empty panel, and you can do something like you can do a single stat, which might be good for that. And let's just say select a measurement. I'll do kilowatt hours. And I have a lot of things here. It might be better to do temperature for this, but let's see if I can find something easily to do with kilowatt hours here. And I'll do a selective value. Let's do the refrigerator, right? Fridge plug energy today. We'll just do today, right? It's 0.0809. So on a single day, I want to do, instead of mean, I want to remove this. And I want to do a selector, and I want to do max. Now, this is fridge energy today. That's probably not a good one to use. Let's pick over the last month. Let's do it that way. Let's do, actually, let's do the washing machine thing, because that's the one where I said I had a huge value. Washer. Oh yeah, well, let's do this one month. So 3.95, that's the max value that during the last month that has ever run. So you could change it, right? Max value, or let's see, washer. And this is on the new Emporia stuff, so it actually hasn't been running that long. Max value. And this would be max value over the period of time that you have selected here. So if I go, and it won't, there's not a year's worth of data. But you got to be careful when you're pulling back a year's worth of data too. It may not actually, it may take a long time to do that. But that's one way. Let's do a different one. Let's do temperature. I'll just stay on the same dashboard. Oh my gosh, it's not gonna let me do it. See, it's just now loading that year's worth of data. It's so slow. It may actually update here. Let's see. When you're going back a year and you have, 1,000 data points a day for a year, that's a lot of data it's trying to load in. So it may be too much for you to do that. But if you're looking at max ever, that's one way to do it. And I'm trying to get into the editing thing. This thing always messes up. I think it has to do with, in single stat, you can actually use the graph, right? So your single stat stuff will show here. Let me refresh this and I'll get out of this. We'll just add a temperature. Let's go to temperature here. I'll go to the weather. And then I'll add a new panel. We'll do single stat because temperature is better than doing the other stuff. So let's do stat. And again, I'll just choose Fahrenheit. Actually, that's not going to work. I need to go to the bottom and find degrees Fahrenheit. Maybe. Huh. Let's try Fahrenheit. Let's see if that works. Nope. So my screen is not, I guess it's off the bottom of the screen here. Let me just stretch it out a little bit here and find Fahrenheit. There it is. All right. I got my Fahrenheit in there. And let's pick an entity, ID, and we'll call this, we'll just do attic sensor. Oh, I don't know. I'll just pick something here. Let me find something. If I can find outside, outdoor temperature. So 76.1 over the last 24 hours. But this is the mean value. Again, let's remove that and let's just add in a max for the selector. And over the last 24 hours, the max was 75.4. But let's look over the last 30 days. And it's going to load up. Now, the last 30 days, the max somewhere here was 76.6. Let's look at the last 90 days. And I'm guessing it's still 76 as the high in the last 90 days. That doesn't make sense. It should be hotter than that. But this is the idea, right? You should be able to pull in the max temperature for the last 90 days. Now, you can set this time interval, or you can do something like this and hard code it. Your relative time is like 90 days. So you would always have the last 90 days for your max here. So that's one way to get your max value into Grafana, is just choose the max. Now looking at this, I wonder if the outdoor temperature, it should be in the last 90 days, it's been hotter than 76. Just trying to think what would have, what is causing the issue here. If we have to do something else. Nope, that's right. So anyway, this is one way to do that. I may not have anything past a certain date on here. That's the reason why it doesn't show it. But you can do max temperature by pulling in this way. So that's one of the ways to do it in Grafana. So you highest, and you could do the same thing with lowest, right? You could come in here and you can create another panel. Instead of being max, you would just go in here and you would select a selector as minimum. So the minimum over the last would be 73, which is not valid. I think it's averaging this or doing something like that. I don't know if we need to change a different value here, but the idea is you use the selectors here, and maybe we do an aggregation. I don't know if aggregation is, yeah, it's got to be a selector. And what's interesting is it's not giving me the right value, I don't think. So there's some other stuff here to set that would probably fix that problem. And it may be because of the you can only have so many data points that you're not going to get exactly what you're looking for here. But it should give you the max. And there's probably another setting here that I need to work on that is going to give it what you're actually looking for, because that doesn't make sense. It should be a little bit hotter than that over the last 90 days. And you have max data points with your interval. And the reason it's doing this too, right? 2 hours, because you can't fit all 6 months worth of data on this graph. You're going to have that. Let me take off the graph stuff too. Graph none. It's doing the same thing, right? You're getting 76 as the max over the last 6 months. So there, I don't know how many months I go back with this particular set of data. But I hope that answers it. You just go in there, you manipulate the query to get what you want on the query. And that's how you do that with Grafana. And there's probably better ways. It's probably explained better on some of the different stuff as well. I was thinking about using the power usage. Our fridge freezer very consistent. Power usage temp is a better way though. Yeah, get you a Xiaomi sensor and stick that in there and see if that works. Hook a temp sensor to the S31. Yeah. I don't think that is an issue or available to us right now. For an all-time record temp, I think I would create a helper to hold the record. Yeah, you can do that in Home Assistant as well, but you're getting the data in here, right? In Grafana, so I would even maybe just use that. What's CO2 signal? I don't know what that means. Not use the CO2 signal. Where am I here? CO2 signal. Is that something in Grafana or something in Home Assistant? Oh, yeah. So you use electricity whenever the carbon footprint is its lowest. But I don't know where you saw that. Where did you see that at, Ahmed? I understand the concept. I just don't know where it's at. All right. Well, this was a lot more interactive than I thought it would be. So I really appreciate you all today asking questions, because it's awesome to be able to get out there and talk to the community about different things, y'all, and what y'all are thinking and questions you have about stuff. Where am I going with this? I'm trying to get back to this. Oh, I see, in the energy dashboard. Yeah, that's the CO2 signal. There we go. Yeah, I don't even see that in here anymore. Where is the CO2 signal? Yeah, in integrations as well. Yeah, so anyway, CO2 is the carbon footprint part of it. One of the things that Home Assistant's highlighting now, of course, is with all of this energy usage, and especially now with the whole climate discussion going on, is working with people on their energy usage. Like, how much are they spending versus how much is going to the grid? How much are they pulling from the grid versus how much they're generating themselves, and all the carbon footprint stuff and all of that kind of thing. So that's probably a lot of what they're talking about, because they're trying to help people get more energy efficient or become better Earth citizens, I guess. But it's a big drive to be better stewards of our energy usage and things like that. Which is why I have to tell you that I didn't spend 101 million kilowatt hours. I've seen people make videos there's one in particular I can think of right now who he's doing a solar project in addition to adding battery backups. And he's running servers in his basement or whatever. And it's his number one, 40% of his power bill every month is from his servers. And he's just doing it for personal reasons, which, you know, if you think about the Home Assistant Blue or stuff like that, yeah, you can run I was running the Ubuntu server that was running Home Assistant, which was way overkill. But I'm now running Home Assistant Blue, doing all of the stuff that I'm doing, including the frigate stuff. And the power usage of that device is considerably smaller than the power usage of my Ubuntu desktop and stuff like that. My Blue Iris computer was running 24/7, and it was generating heat, number one, in the office, and it was using a lot of power, when I can do the same thing in frigate. And I love Blue Iris. There's nothing wrong with Blue Iris, but you're talking about power usage and some of the other features you get with frigate, and having it on a less power consuming device and a non-Windows device, it makes it pluses all around. So there we go. James says a good way to use the CO2 signal would be to cool your home a few extra degrees when the carbon footprint is low. Yep. They do a program here called, I don't know the name of it, but I'm sure it's around the US at least, where the power company gives you the option to have them turn off your air conditioning in the afternoon during peak times to save energy. And you're cooling less when it's the hottest, because that's when the most demand is. So you give them the ability, and you're supposed to save some money on your power bill or whatnot. So that's an option they do. And it, you know, that could tie into the CO2 stuff too, where I think they're doing it for pricing reasons. You know, the power is commodity price. When a demand is high, the cost goes up. So they want to save cost on the power usage. And they do that by shutting off people's air conditioning, which is the number one user of power here in our world. So anyway, all right. Do we have any final questions? Because I'm going to wrap it up here in just a couple of minutes. It's been an awesome stream today. A lot of different areas of discussion, and I really appreciate you all jumping in and interacting and answering questions that I don't have answers to. Remember to jump into Discord if you have questions or so if you have questions or things I didn't follow up on, just let me know. I will get to those when I can, not necessarily right after the stream. I'm going to go do some family stuff, but I do want to be able to at least look at those and do a little research on them. I can't believe I forgot how I did the Blue Iris stuff before with the MQTT, but it definitely does use that configuration to do that. So, the CO2 database. Yeah, so Ahmad says he couldn't experiment with it because his country is not in the CO2 signal database. Well, I didn't realize that. When is the next live cast? I don't know, Jonathan. I was trying to do them every 2 weeks. Let's see. This is Thanksgiving. I might be able to swing one in a couple of weeks. We're coming into the holiday season, so 2 weeks now would be December. I might be able to get another one in. I don't, sometimes I say I want to do a live stream, and then I wing it, like completely wing it. I have some ideas of what I want to talk about in case there's no interaction, but I really appreciate the interaction, because that's a better use of the live stream, in my opinion, than just demonstrating things that I can do on recorded videos. So it'll be, I always try to announce it a little bit ahead of time. Used to be about half a day I would throw it out there, and sometimes it's been a couple hours ahead of time. Just set up some notifications, Jonathan, so that you get notified when I go live, and then you won't miss it. You arrived 1 minute ago. Oh yeah, but you can replay it, or you can rewatch it after it's done. So make sure you do that as well. Thanks, Ahmed. Thanks, Mr. Semla. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. It is Sunday. For us in the U.S., a lot of people take the entire week off for the Thanksgiving holiday. I will not be doing that entirely, but I will be taking some time off in the next week. The next video, by the way, is a review video. And I know that y'all don't necessarily watch the review videos, but if you get a chance, check that one out. It's about the Real Link camera. They sent me one to play with, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do. And then I show you a little bit of Frigate stuff at the very end. It's not a Frigate video at all, but I show you the RTSP stream for the Reolink cameras in case you're interested in that. You get to see me walking around in the dark in the daylight because I had to go outside and demonstrate the camera. So IKEA particulate sensor. Did I like that? Did you tell me about that? You probably did. Are you asking me, Zappy? I can't spell particulate, and you can't see me. Oh, you can see me typing it. Is this a US? Is this a US deal? I can't even pronounce it. EMT, I have no holidays. You know, Rescue, I was an EMT for a lot of years as well. And I was a volunteer. So that means that I worked for a living and did that. So yeah, I didn't have any time off during that time either. But I was also young and single. So that was the difference. Yep. And happy Thanksgiving to all the friends in the US and the bank holiday for the UK and whoever else. Oh, I haven't tried that IKEA sensor, so I need to play with that. All right. Well, y'all have a great rest of your day and a great week. And for those that celebrate the holiday, happy holidays. And we will see you on the next video and or the next live stream. So thank you for watching and cheerios.